What's mission prep? Tell me what that's all about.
All right, so today we have once again Paul Sharp joining us. This would be the 2.5 times, I guess.
Two and a half times.
But yeah, he's been on a couple times before, and we wanted to bring him back today. And we're going to start this episode with our giveaway. We mentioned it last week on the podcast with our new sponsor, Adaptive Tactical. This was a social media giveaway, so if you guys don't have social media, I'm sorry, you don't get any cool stuff, but you should still check them out.
Right.
AdaptiveTactical.com. And so we have a bowl here on the video, if you're looking, full of names that entered.
It's all the same two names, by the way.
It's actually just me and Kevin. Me and Kevin put our names in. But so we have an AR stock and a grip to give away here. And that's thank you to Adaptive Tactical. I'm mixing. All right, Paul, you can do the honors. You pick one.
Picked one.
Sure. Yeah, we're going to do two, but you pick one first and I'll read them off.
Trying to get just one here. All right.
What do we got? So the first winner is W.H. Rosier or Rosier. That's an Instagram handle.
Nice.
So we're going to put this video up on Instagram too, and I'll tag you in that. So that's first winner.
Nice.
And the second winner.
Ready? Eyes closed.
All right.
Going in. All right. I got one, right?
You got one. Second winner is Pacific Northwest Jones. All right.
It reminds me of the horrible bosses like Motherfucker Jones.
Can you turn my headphones down just a little? It's the one on the bottom left. Yeah. Awesome. So two winners are Pacific Motherfucker Jones, Pacific Northwest Jones, and W.H. Rosier or Rosier, however you say that. And I'll tag them both on Instagram.
Nice.
And we'll get them taken care of.
Very cool.
So Paul, thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me be part of it.
Of
That
course.
was cool.
That's our first giveaway. Actually, we did one when we first started with a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it was like these cheap ass t-shirts I had made with just I think I gave you
I got one of them.
when you were first on, because we didn't have the new logo and stuff.
Yeah.
And we did a giveaway, and then the person that won it never claimed it.
Really?
What?
Yeah. I messaged them and said, hey, you won, blah, blah. They said, are you guys on Apple? I said, yeah, we're on all the platforms. And that was the last I heard from them.
Super weird. Some people are weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe,
and I think
maybe they got abducted.
Well, later I found out it was one of my wife's old coworkers
Oh,
that had entered on the thing. And I just the other day I told her, I'm like, your coworker never claimed that.
Yeah.
And
What's up with that?
Yeah, actually her husband is a cop.
yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Cops are always down for free stuff.
I mean, who's not?
Yeah. Who doesn't want something free?
I like
Yeah,
free
you
stuff.
know?
So yeah. Thanks for coming back on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Trying to think where to start today, because you do have a thing coming up with for your fundraiser. We can start there.
Yeah.
wanna talk
So
about
we
that?
got to think. Yeah. The 27th into the 28th of October, I'm going to be doing another 24-hour event to raise funds for Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. So
Mhm.
they do research, help families. It's just a great resource for folks dealing with that disease. And they were a great resource for my family. And so what I'm going to do is every hour on the hour, starting at 5 o'clock, I'm going to row 3 miles or run 3 miles. So the odd hours, probably going to run 3 miles. And then on the even hours, row 3 miles until we get to the end. So
That's nuts.
yeah. Yeah. Last time I ran every hour on the hour, I ran 3 miles. And we ended up miscalculating. I ended up running 75 miles instead of 72. But at that point, who cares?
Yeah, it's
it's like potato at that point.
How do you feel after that?
Are
you dead?
Yeah. So I had mistakenly let everybody take off. And so I didn't have a ride. So I had to drive myself home, which was an adventure. My legs were just cramping and all that good stuff. So I drove home, sat down on the bed, passed out, just dead to the world, and then woke up at about 3 a.m, freaking out. because I had a dream that I had overslept past my starting point for my next hour by like 45 minutes or something. And now I was all messed up. So now I'm going to have to give everybody their money back. I let my sponsors down. I let the people that donated down. I let the Pancreatic. I was literally freaking out.
And you were already done.
I was
finished.
done. And I'm running in my room back and forth, trying to get my shoes, trying to find my stuff. I'm freaking out. I can't get my compression socks on because my feet are swollen. And then I was like, wait, hold on.
What day is it? Who am I?
Where am I? And what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And then it like dawned on me, like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
We're done. But then I couldn't go back to sleep.
I bet.
So
I bet.
I ended up going to the gym and deadlifting and getting a workout in Monday morning after the event.
Jesus,
So,
man.
which deadlifting with feet that I had 3 broken toes and I was missing toenails and everything else. So deadlifting was an adventure.
Jeez.
But yeah,
How many years have you been doing that now?
oh man. So last year was the first time I did a solo thing, but I've been doing it since 2016.
Okay.
when
So
my
you've been
dad
doing it a
died.
while.
Yeah. So I've been doing group efforts
Mhm.
and things. And then I decided to just kind of see what I could do on my own. Nothing against, strides for life and all that good stuff, all the group events that we do. But I just felt like I want to do something a little more and try to drive myself a little harder, challenge myself a little harder. And there's a buy-in, from people, because if I don't think I can do it, they definitely don't think I can do it, so there's a buy-in from them to try to incentivize me to make it happen. One guy sponsored $1 per mile, another guy just straight out $1,000, and then he gave more later, which was phenomenal, just caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of that, just really giving. And there were people that gave less in number, but to them significant, because I know them, and I know when I read the names, I was just like, holy cow, man, that's a lot of money for what they're dealing with right now. People were dealing with, going to COVID issues and all that stuff, and like still giving. So it's like, man, I gotta make this run,
Yeah.
And I went into it. So I had a hip injury. I was teaching out at the site and I was running through the hills out there. I did a 13-mile run, and on one of the hills, something just gave in my hip. It was weird, and I can't explain it. My doc looked at it and he's like, strained something, but nothing we can do about it. Just suck it up and drive on. So it was about like a golf ball sized lump under my skin on my left hip, and it just was painful to touch, really irritated, kind of red, inflamed, almost like cellulitis type thing down my leg going into the run. And I just remember thinking, like, I got to do this. I can't not do this. Even if I end up walking at such a slow pace, I'm walking nonstop for the 24 hours. I got to do it. And on the second or third run, I had a guy come out, Christian Alcedo, awesome dude. He came out and ran with me almost the whole night, every run. Yeah. And he's a Marine. He's just tough as nails, right? Didn't prepare, but he's just like, I can't let you do this on your own. And we were in the middle of an ice storm, kind of a freakish, just sleet and icing and stuff. So we said, hey, let's go out one more time, run outside. I did not want to run on the treadmill. And let's run outside one more time and then see what it looks like. It's getting slippery. And sure enough, I can't lift my left leg because of that thing in my hip. So I'm kind of dragging my foot. And we were running on a bike path, and I hit a little bump in the thing and kind of stumbled a couple times. And somewhere in there, I think, is where I first broke some toes during that episode of stumbling and not being able to, I was basically peg legging,
Yeah.
And so then after that, we decided, hey, let's just get on the treadmill and just do the rest of these on the treadmill, because it's dark, uneven terrain, and we got enough challenges already. So let's not make it worse. And my brother was there too. And so we made that decision to switch up to the treadmills, and then that was a little better, but not much.
Are you doing treadmills this year?
No, I'm gonna run outside.
Are you? I mean,
Yeah,
you
Where you running
might as
at?
well. We have the good country here to run in.
beautiful country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna run on the green belt
Oh, cool.
for as long as I can. I know it's closed at night,
Well,
so
in October will be perfect.
yeah,
It'll
that's
be-
what I'm hoping.
It
So
won't be too hot, won't be cold.
yeah, so we're gonna run. I'm gonna do the event at the Straight Blast Gym in
Mhm.
Idaho, so right down on Americana. So I'm gonna be right there. The rowers in the gym, so I'll row in the gym and then go out and hit the green belt the next hour
Mhm.
and do my 3
Are
mile.
you going to have anybody doing this with you, or is it people can like drop in and do
Yeah,
stuff? Or?
for sure. Yeah, people are going to drop in. Dr. Baker, he runs prehab. It's a chiropractic clinic.
Mhm.
He's going to come out and work on me, keep me going. That's important. That's important.
I'm sure it is.
You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I'm 53,000 years old, man. I got some miles on me,
Yeah.
So, I'll turn 54 in November. So
Mhm.
I got some miles on me and some damage. So he's going to come out and work on me, keep me running. So he'll be there. My brother's flying in. A couple of my daughters are going to fly into town
Mhm.
and be there with me. And then Jill, whatever her schedule is, we're not sure if she'll still be in the ICU at that time.
Yeah.
But
Not as a patient, but
yeah, as a medical professional,
in there doing good work in there.
yeah. So she'll be in there. So we're not sure. A lot of things kind of got tossed up in the air at the last
Mhm.
minute here.
What's the date you're doing that?
The 27th and 28th. So
We might have to swing by too.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "What are you volunteering before, bro?"
No.
But
Well, we're gonna
I'll
swing
come.
by and I'm gonna watch Kevin run with you.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
And I'll just cheer.
Yeah.
I'll come run a mile.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Dude, I stopped
They-
running altogether because my there's some back issues again, and then
Sure.
I've been trying to work on my feet because my
Mhm.
having arch issues again, and then so no running at all. And when I do run, I am more of an interval sprinter.
Yeah.
Like if I am doing a long run, when I say long, I mean like 3 to 5 miles.
Mhm.
I'm doing like 9+ minute mile pace
Yeah.
into like a 5 to 6 minute mile pace for a minute. Yes, the stuff I do, like
Yeah.
because I get
Just bump it
I'm
up.
just too
and then-
ADD for like long stuff, and it's hard. I need
Yeah.
to get better at it again. But and so I went from doing nothing into doing like an ultimate frisbee class at BSU, and I went straight from nothing to just sprinting for a fucking
Yeah.
hour, sprinting for an
Yeah.
hour. So my legs for the last 3 weeks are not recovering. They're swollen up. My
Yeah,
IT bands are
not happy.
fucked up. My glutes hurt. Like
Yeah.
so, but it would be fun to come down and just like come row 3 miles,
Yeah.
come run 3 miles. I'd like to be part of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew if I tried to do the whole thing, I would get fucked up.
Right.
I'm not that tough.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a lot of just mental.
Absolutely.
I had a chance to chat a little bit with Brian Chantosh some
Cool.
because he does a lot of these events, and chat with him a little bit. He kind of put my mind at ease about some stuff. I was having some freak out moments going into it, being injured and kind of banged up. And he's just like, look, man, the preparation is the preparation. There's nothing you can do about it now.
Yeah.
You just decide you're not going to quit. You're going to keep putting one foot in front of the other until it's over. And that's
Yeah.
it.
And you know your own end game, you know the goal, and that's a big part of it. Like in like sports psychology, like if people think they're done after 10 miles, and then someone leading the pack's like, guess what, we got 5 more.
Right.
75% of people are just crushed. They're fucking done.
Yeah.
And then the other percentage can continue to do that. And it's kind of like you've been doing this long enough, you're part of that, 95th percentile. Like it's okay to throw it at me. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
like, and like I used to do that in the gym too. You see it to people and you see them get crushed. They get angry. They go through all the stages of grief,
Yeah.
essentially,
Right.
they do it in the military and everything else. But it's when you've given so much and you realize you can give more, you can do more.
Yeah.
And the last thing you need is someone telling you, well, that's not the last thing, but like they're like, it's okay, you can quit,
Right.
because then you get weak.
Yeah.
Like was
For
that
sure.
old saying, someone brought it up years ago, but it was basically on the same mode of like a rich man sees a guy living on the street and he's fucking cold. But he's like, I don't know how you survive these winters, because that's what he's expected to do to survive.
Right.
And the guy's like, hold on, I'm gonna go inside and get you a jacket and some hot food. So he sits outside waiting for him, expecting to get that Jack and hot food, and the guy forgets about him, and then he dies.
Right.
The hope made him
Yeah.
get weak, and
Because
he
he,
died. You know,
he
like
changed what his
Yeah.
mindset about it.
exactly.
It is psychological, like you were saying too. Like even like if I go for a run in the neighborhood, I see like a tree up ahead. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it to that tree before I go to a walk, and that's as far as I'm gonna fucking make it because I'm gonna die. But I get to that tree and I see the next tree. I'm like, I can make it to the next tree.
Yeah.
And like it's all psychological. Even for somebody who's out of shape like myself, like if I'm like, okay, I can make it, I do make it. You know, you set your mind to it. I think.
Yeah, plenty
You're
of
capable of
plenty of
things.
people can get really fucking fit without ever really getting too much out of their comfort zone. And even though these are world top athletes, it's so I'm not judging this. I have no place to judge it. They're world top athletes, but look at this difference between like Khabib and McGregor. McGregor is a phenomenal fighter, a great guy, such in shape, you know, such in shape, whatever. I don't fucking talk, but you can see he gets weak really quick. As soon as someone puts a pressure on him, he mentally breaks. And Khabib's the opposite. He's trained to be fucking hard.
Right.
And so
he's always putting the pressure on.
Exactly. But you can be as fit as you want, but if you're not really mentally that tough, it's like it doesn't go that far.
Yeah. Especially
not in combat. You can be as fit as you want. It doesn't mean that you're gonna fucking not be the guy hiding and shaking when bullets are flying, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's so much of it is mental, you know.
Yeah.
Man, I can never remember his name. He's a runner from one of the Eastern Bloc countries, Emil. Anyway, he had a saying, like basically if you want to run a mile, you know, but if you want to have a life-changing experience, run a marathon.
Yeah.
And because it's mental, you know, we all have the capacity to run a marathon. It's literally like we can walk out right now and run a marathon. It's in us, but it's just mental, you know. And that was the hardest part in the last year's event, was getting on the treadmill. I had so dreaded getting on the treadmill. I did not want to do it. I hate running on treadmill. Knee injuries, feet, you know, the whole thing, and just the mind numbing, just staring at a wall, running, you know. I just did not want to do it. And running outside, I at least had the distraction of the rain or this ice hit me in the face. You know, we're laughing because we're miserable. It's cold and sucks. And you know how that is, man. Like the misery just makes you're either going to die metaphorically, or you're going to make it through it. You're going to suck it up and drive on and find a way to laugh and just get through it. And so we were finding ways to laugh and just get through the misery of it. And then when it came time to get on that treadmill, the decision was kind of taken out of my hands, you know, because we're like, again, you know, it's dark, it's icing up out there. This is dumb. Let's just get on the treadmill. And I remember the first time getting on the treadmill, just all of a sudden, that was the first time it entered my head, I don't know if I can do this.
Right.
Like during the event, like prior to the event, there were days where I was like, man, I don't know. You know, I'm going to let a lot of people down if I don't pull this off. And I remember like getting worked on, massage therapist just burying his elbow into my hip, trying to like break up whatever was going on in there. And I just remember thinking, he said, you know, I don't know if I can get this thing to, it's just not giving. Whatever is going on in here is not giving. And I remember looking over and like hit his foot on the wall so he could get some leverage to torque on me, and my legs hanging off the table and just the whole thing. And I had some moments there where I thought, I walked out of there thinking, man, maybe I should postpone it, you know. And there was people that were looking out for me who were like, maybe you should postpone, you know. And good friends were like, listen, like people will give just because it's you, but you don't have to do this. You might do irreversible damage. Like you might come out of this needing a hip surgery. You might come out of this with all kinds of bad things happening. Like, let's just back it down, you know?
Yeah.
And I just remember like kind of hearing those voices, and then later on thinking, no, you know, like, nah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Because you have to be strong to be introspective enough to see, like when you know when someone says that to you and you feel relief come over you, you have to be introspective and know like, wait, why am I relieved? Like, am I really going to be that weak right now?
Yeah.
To where I'm relieved when, you know, like if you're a motivated person, that's not relief. That sucks.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to miss something or miss going out to do your job or miss a SWAT hit because you relieved when someone said, "Oh yeah, your foot's hurting." Like, oh, thanks God, I don't have to go. Like,
Yeah.
you want to be the mentality where,
Mhm.
no, I'm not fucking leaving those guys without me. I'm going with them
Exactly.
no matter what. You
Right.
know,
I was just watching that show Alone. Have you ever watched Alone? It's like a survival show. And these people have to stay out in the middle of nowhere for 100 days.
Oh, wow.
And they get to take like 10 items with them. They have a list they can pick from. It's on Netflix right now. It's actually really good. I think it's like a Discovery Channel show. But they have to stay for, there's 10 people. They have 100 days. They don't know when the other people drop out because they're all in separate parts of the land. And it's up, I think it's up in Canada. So it's turning into winter. It's fall into winter time. And there's this one girl who's towards the end. I mean, the other people have dropped off. And so say like 9 people drop out, you're still in. You're at 90 days. I think you still win if you drop out if you're the last one, but you don't know if you're the last one. If you hit the 100 days, they come get you, say you've made 100 days, you win. It was like $1 million.
Oh, wow.
But there's one girl who was towards the end and she had frostbite on her toes. And the other thing is they have to pack all their own camera equipment. They're literally alone.
Oh,
and
wow.
they're setting up camera shots and all this. And they have a satellite phone so they can call out if they're ready to go or if they get hurt. So somehow the medical team was made aware that she had frostbite, possible frostbite. So they come and they look at it and they tell her like, yeah, you have frostbite. We're pulling you. And you could see the relief come over her. Like, but she was like tough as nails. Unless someone told her she was coming out, she would probably would have won.
Yeah.
But you could see like her like, oh, okay, I got to go out. But she was saying, she's like, I love it out here. I would stay out here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You really like watching that show. You see people break. You see how tough some people are. It's the guy that ended up winning it he was the oldest guy on the show. He was in his 50s and he's the one that ended up winning. He built this like rock structure for a house. Everybody else just used like branches and stuff. And this guy was moving 100+ pound big slabs of rock. And it was cool to watch. But there's one guy, his shelter caught on fire as he was in it because they all put their fires in there because you kind of have to. And it caught on fire. And so he gets up and he like puts it out and he stayed. He rebuilt it and stayed for a while. He didn't end up winning, but it shows you like a mental game big time.
Yeah, exactly. And you already have to be kind of solid going into shit like that. And most people are, if their coping mechanisms are drinking and abuse and everything else, like we've always talked about, they're the weakest people. You see it when you're in basic training, whatever, you go into ranger school and when you're separated from society a little bit, like for instance, you take somebody and you put them through like a little bit of sleep deprivation, like work for 36 hours and we're going to fucking beat your ass up and then make you critically think during that time. And all of a sudden say you just pull that person out and start doing like maybe a very masculine, not a nurturing type of like, psychological interview, and you watch these people break, right? Because they don't have that facade or the wall up anymore. It's broken down because they're tired. They're everything else.
Yeah, you get raw.
You're real raw, and then you as a person with the good coping mechanisms doesn't waver that much, or they can, it's not because they don't have a wall anymore. If that's them and they're that stoic, it's because I dealt with my shit. I know who I am. Right. My life is already a little rough because I make it that way, and I apply struggle, and that's. Man, I wish we would all, this kind of maybe goes back to like selective service thing, like if everyone went through something like that when they graduated high school, whether it was, go do 3 years in military or just do this, we'd all be better people.
Or even like the Peace Corps or something.
I mean,
just serving your country. You know what I mean?
But that's one of those things too, that I don't know. We do a lot in other countries where if we just taught them how to do it, we'd save trillions of dollars as well. You go dig a well in Africa, look how much that costs to dig a well, because we send over 20 Americans to go do it and engineer. But if we took that, say it was $30 million, apply that $30 million after you taught the natives to do that. Now they built 3 wells for that instead of just one.
Right.
Because why do we have to put our own fucking stamp on it and go help them, So that's why some of the things like the Peace Corps and stuff like that, I'm like, is it really for them? Is it, or for us,
But I mean, just serving a purpose in
sorry.
general. I think that's good for anybody.
Yeah.
Because I don't think not everybody should join, like, be in combat. There's people that just have no fucking business doing that, I'm sure, but if there was a different way that they could serve just to make them a better person.
I think
absolutely.
Yeah. I think a lot of it, as far as building the mindset and that kind of thing, Yeah, there's been so many studies done that show and anecdotal stories where, like that quote about the marathon, if you do something hard physically, it changes you holistically. You know, it changes you mentally and emotionally and spiritually and all. Like your whole being changes by doing something hard. And the easiest way to do something hard is to do something physical.
Mm-hmm.
I can have you sit and breathe for hours a day, and that will be transformative. It'll help you in a lot of different ways. But I could also just have you come run with me. Like, hey, let's do a marathon a day. Like those Japanese monks that have to run 100 kilometers a day every day for a year, 2 years. I can't remember now, but it's a pretty extended period of time that they have to run or commit ritualistic suicide. If they don't complete their mission. And so at the end of that, that's a completely different human being.
Yeah.
And I've seen it just in smaller slices with things like jujitsu and combat sports, where you have somebody come in and they'll start as they come in and you have no idea what's under there, because time reveals what's under there, and so over the period of a year, they suddenly become a different person, and that's the thing. So I really think, like if there was a way to force it, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
But there also has to be that part of it where I think it's more beneficial maybe if they seek it for themselves.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, hold on, I'm a screw up, kind of like this story about Dean Karnazes, where he's out partying for his birthday and a little tipsy, having a conversation maybe he shouldn't be having with the female from the office, and then walked outside and just started running. Like, I need to do something hard. I'm getting too soft here. I need to fix myself. And I think, those moments are even more transformative for people, because it's that moment of self-realization, where they're like, man, I'm just not trying hard enough. I'm just not pushing myself hard enough. And how can I do that? And if it's a kid and 17, 18-year-old kid, then probably the easiest route is the military. Easiest, as in the best way to make it happen. If they're older, then probably the best way is through combat sports or the training to support combat sports.
I saw that with my oldest son, my 13-year-old son, because he always had a hard time with sports and stuff. And we put him in jujitsu and he didn't want to do it, but he got used to being there. He got better, all that. Right. But we were still forcing him to do it. Then all of a sudden, and he didn't like any physical activity at all. He was a little bit lazy. He was being a kid.
Sure.
And we put him in this running group last year where they train up to run a half marathon.
Oh yeah.
Him and my 6-year-old both did it, and they both ran the half marathon. My oldest son got a really good time.
Nice.
He did a really good job. And then after that, he's like talking about how he wants to do other things. So we put him back in the same gym he was doing jiu-jitsu at, but he's doing their fitness kickboxing classes now. And I take him every Monday and I watch him, and it's a different person. This kid is not the same kid he was. Right. And he's in there with the adults. He's in the adult class. He's the size of an adult. He's a big kid, but like last week they were doing these stations. So like one station was sit-ups and punch the bag. Next station was like, I think it was just like, I'm trying to remember. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next one was you and it was partners, and your partner holds the pad and you're throwing round kicks, and he's with a full grown man throwing round kicks at him. And I'm watching that guy's whipping those legs at that pad.
Yes.
And my son's just boom, boom, taking it. Then it's his turn. I'm watching him like, holy crap. It's a total different person. And it's all because of physical activity. And he looks like a different person.
Sure.
He looks fit.
Right.
And it's like you were saying, he kind of made that choice on his own to, I want to do physical things. And it's transformed him physically and a little bit mentally.
Yeah.
Which is cool to see.
Yeah. And like you guys said, it's choice. Am I going to go beat myself up in a workout? I don't know, fucking doing sledgehammer strikes or whatever else for like 40 minutes in the rain because someone's making me, and I'm like, oh, I hate being here. I'm just going to try to survive through it and do half-assed job. Like, no, I want to put myself through this, and I'm going to give it 100% because it's my choice. Like choices, like you said, it's a lot of it. When someone makes the choice to like my lifestyle sucks. I'm egocentric. I'm too much about myself and everything's a facade. I feel fake. I don't feel real. And all of a sudden you see that person do something difficult, jujitsu, whatever. And I mean, the way they act changes. And then
Yeah.
the way they dress changes. All of a sudden,
Right.
like, you know, like you change the way you see things and the things you see change.
Right.
Your whole reality is different.
yeah.
Like it's really cool. It's cathartic too.
Yeah.
People don't get that catharsis very often when things are easy, you know, like,
Right.
yeah, you got to apply it. And I'm tired of hearing excuses just be normal rhetoric.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but why would I go run or hike Table Rock, you know, in the middle of July and they're during the day? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck wouldn't you? Why are you saying it? Just like, because everyone says it, it's just a normal thing. Like, no, I have an AC car. Like, cool, fuck that AC car. Like, go do something difficult, friend, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. I did a marathon a day challenge for a month. And, you know, a few days into it, I developed shin splints, which I never had before.
yeah.
I always prided myself on having good running technique. I had good coaches, you know, and good running technique. Ed Bugarin, he's a legend in the military world. He was part of, I think it was Operation Iron Eagle, where they attempted to rescue the Iranian hostages.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was part of that. Like, that's how long he's been involved in that community. And I found him because I was looking for a post-tech coach back in the early 2000s. It was hard to find those guys. I'd read about it. I'd heard about it. One of my friends that runs marathons and Ironmans and all that stuff, he was one of the first guys to be one of those barefoot runners, you know, one of those weird dudes.
Yeah.
And
The
but
Vibram 5-finger toes.
yeah, he would just run with nothing, just
Mhm.
barefoot, just get out there and get it. And I remember him telling me about post-tech and, you know, and so I'm looking all over for a coach. I found Ed, you know, super cool, man. Awesome guy, lives in Hawaii. And he just coached me, you know, coached me over the phone, coached me through video. And so I feel like, and I've had in-person coaches too since that time that are part of that kind of that pose world. And felt like, man, I've got good coaches. Like, I'll never get shin splints. I've never got shin splints. And then, you know, day 7, I'm just like, whoa, why does it hurt to lift my feet? You know?
Yeah.
And but getting through that, it became a crucible, you know, it became like a Phoenix type event where I'm just burning off the excess, burning off what's not necessary to complete this objective of running 26.2 miles every day, which for me is a 4-hour ordeal. You know, I'm not a fast runner. I'm an 8-minute pace guy. For selection purposes, for PFTs, whatever you want to call it, I've been able to do 6-minute miles, get down into the 5s even, but not something I can sustain for, you know, I've run a couple 5Ks in the 20s, you know, like 24 minutes in that time frame, or right at 20, but I've never broken into the 18s on a 5K or anything like that, you know, where people are like, man, that dude's that's a 6-minute runner right there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, dude. You know, especially when I weighed 280,
I was
300
gonna say,
pounds
you
and
used to
stuff.
be a lot bigger.
Yeah,
too.
so I was beating myself up doing this every day, but it became this thing where it carved away all the unnecessary stuff. It's weird, and it sounds psychotic to say that I would get home at 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night, and I'd be like, well, I still got to run, you know, or I'm getting up at 3:45 because I need to get my run in, and I still have things to do. You know, I still have my day to go through and classes to teach and all that good stuff, you know, responsibilities. So it's one of those things where, you know, kind of, what's that thing? I'm not sure if Bukowski actually said it or not. There's kind of some controversy on that about find what you love and let it kill you, you know, let it consume you. And, but it's true, you know, find that thing. And sometimes that thing that you love has to be yourself enough where you're like, I'm going to do this to see how much of a transformation I can bring about in myself. You know, why should I wait till I hit rock bottom to decide to transform, right?
Yeah.
Like, why should I bottom out? Like, everybody says you have to bottom out. And I get that for the context of that saying, you know, people need to reach rock bottom. But for everybody else, for people who aren't struggling with substances and things like that, why can't I create that situation for myself where I want to see how much of a transformation I can put myself through. I want to see how much of a crucible I can endure. And I want to see what this Phoenix looks like when it rises.
Mhm.
Like what's going to come out of this? What will I look like on the other end of this? And, you know, I've said it before, like, I really don't know who I would be without jujitsu.
Mhm.
I really like who I am with it. You know, I feel like I'm a pretty decent person despite some character flaws. And, but I do know, like, going into these events, because they're so short, you know, I do know how I feel going into it or who I am going into it. And then I know who I am on the other side of it, you know, and that's been really cool because it's almost like 24 hours of, whoa, man, I don't even know who I was. I don't know who the person was that started this.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like a whole other person now. And there's a distance runner. I can't remember her name. It's Mary. But anyway, I had a conversation with her through Instagram Messenger. It was pretty cool. And she just said to me, like, listen, the miles are going to happen. You just have to be determined to finish them, regardless of what that looks like.
Yeah.
Puke, crap your pants, whatever. All kinds of bad things are going to happen in between now and then. But the version of you at the end will be different than the version of you that started it. Like, if you put the two of you side by side, the person at the finish line, the person at the starting line, you wouldn't recognize each other.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, that's a pretty bold statement there, Cotton. You know, like, you know, is it really like that transformative? Like 24 hours, 48 hours, you know,
Absolutely.
like, is it really? But it is.
When you go through stuff like that, you know, when you come out of it, you don't come out of it looking to like, okay, I need this big break. Whenever you come out of hard stuff like that, at least for me and people it's been around me, you come out of that and you're more motivated. All of a sudden,
like, what's next?
You're way more active. Your brain's on fire. You're doing things constantly. You're not watching TV at all. And it's as you start being more complacent that you start slowing down.
Yeah.
But every time you do something hard like that, it's all of a sudden you have like a month of just like kicking ass. Everything you do, you're high paced, you know. So, but even if you do slow down a little bit after a month, that's okay, because you had a month of now changing your perception.
Right.
Or getting better at a lot of things because it changed the way you thought. And I haven't met anybody who's thought, I guess, differently. Really, after something hard like that, you're kicking ass for a while. You're like riding that high almost.
Yeah, you ride it. It's a wave. You ride it for a while, man. And Jill had a vet. I think he was a World War II vet. He's an older dude that she was caring for in ICU, and just a phenomenal dude. Just accomplished so much, you know, in his life. And he said to her, you know, movement is life. Never stop moving. And that was his big deal about being in the ICU, was just that I can't move. You know, I'm kind of like on lockdown here with COVID regulations and all that stuff, and I can't get out and do the stuff I need to be doing. And so he actually was kind of feeling some anxiety because to him, it's true, right? Movement is life. And he had momentum going into being sick, and he didn't want to lose that momentum, especially being that age group. You know, those World War II guys, they're late 80s, right? And so, and even 90s. And so he's like, man, look, you know, I can't be slowing down. There's, you know, there's not much left. So I need to make something happen.
Well, you see that too. Like when an older person gets put in the hospital and they're laid up, you see them deteriorate.
Yeah,
like
you kind of start the clock, right?
Yeah. Like I lost my dad. It's been a month now, I think.
About a month.
And he was already kind of going downhill. Like he was on oxygen. He had a lot of health issues. And when I was younger, he was God. I mean, he was a big, strong guy. Then he had health issues, and I saw he was doing less, and he just looked like he was deteriorating.
Yeah.
But even as bad as he looked at home, when I saw him in the hospital leading up to him, I mean, he just looked so bad, and he wasn't moving, you know. And I think you're right. Like if you have something to look forward to, you're moving, you're doing things, it's going to keep you healthier all around, I think, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And to see people, it's almost like, I don't know if I'd say to give up, but it's like they're laid up in a bed. What do they have to look forward to? you know?
And because once you have that goal of, I want to be healthy and survive, and I want to be active, the other latent effects come with it naturally. Like, oh, I'm not budgeting my food anymore. I'm budgeting bullshit, and I'm spending whatever I want and need on good food.
Right.
Because you don't see people spend really good money on good food that are not active.
Right.
I never see that. Even if they're like chefs or whatever, they're not healthy looking chefs, you know. It doesn't matter. Like, they're synonymous with each other. Active people eat good food, and it's not one or the other. Actually, no, it is. If you're a 20-year-old kid who's really active, they're probably eating pizza every day.
Yeah, you can eat anything.
Yeah.
Get away with it. Yeah, the metabolism, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's the thing, you know, it's like you start to value the fuel that's going into your body, physically and mentally. You know, you start to pay attention to, is this getting me closer to where I want to be or further from my goal? You know, tomorrow morning I have to be at comp team at 5:30, ready to roll. And we're going to get after it. We're going to do competition speed drilling, you know, round after round, 90 minutes. You know, we do 1 minute goes. And basically you just go as hard as you can, as if you were in competition, but with the parameter of, we reset when you achieve whatever it is we're trying to do. And I know if I sit here and I eat some ice cream, maybe too much ice cream, and I pound some Cokes, you know, tomorrow morning is going to be rough.
Yeah.
It's taking me further from my goal, which is to be a good training partner and also improve myself. And the same with lifting or running or whatever it might be. But then you start paying attention to your mental diet too. You start paying attention to the conversations that happen around you. And like, is this gossip? You know, like what are we doing right now?
Yeah.
You know, like, why do I feel just gross?
Yeah.
You know, from a conversation, you know?
Yeah.
And you start paying attention to that stuff, and you start realizing that Mike Menser used to say, consider that you have 100 units of recovery, and how will you allocate those units throughout your day to best set you up for success when you train? And, you know, like, I'm not like a high intensity one set to failure kind of guy, you know, at all. But I thought there was some value in that perspective, which is, if I have 100 units of mental recovery, what is best going to set me up for success? What is best going to set me up to recover? Because just like the mental, the most important aspect is the mental, right? The mindset. And so if I'm going into an event, or if I'm going into just training, like say I just want to go for a fun run, you know, and if I'm going out there, do I need all this negative conversation, negative media, negative whatever it might be? Like, how many units of recovery of mental recovery, that's most important, did those things suck out? Right? Like, how far away now am I from my goal? You know, did I set myself back, or did I push myself forward?
Yeah.
And it, as cheesy as it sounds, and I get a lot of grief for it, I try to start my day with podcasts. I start my day with quotes. I start my day with things that are like pumping me up. I start my day with, I went through the Tony Robbins Ultimate Power Weekend. A friend of mine paid for it. It was really cool. He was a life coach for Tony Robbins. And so we went through this thing. I did the firewalk. It was awesome. You know, so much great information. We would start at 6 a.m. and go till midnight every day for 4 days straight. Like, it was intense. But they had a thing there called the Hour of Power, which is you start your day with an hour of good stuff, focused on your goals, writing down what you like. You journal at night, right? That's the best time to journal, I think. But in the morning, like, what do I want to do today? You know, look at what I wrote last night in my journal. Okay, what am I going to get after today? What do I need to accomplish today? And what am I thinking right now? Like, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? Like, what do I want to do today that I couldn't do yesterday, or I haven't done, you know, this week or whatever? And then I'll get like music pumping, you know, I'll get some good tunes going. Sometimes, you know, I'll crank some pretty heavy metal, or sometimes it might just be like Casey and the Sunshine Band, you know, but it's something to just keep my mind just, you know, kind of get it rolling
Mhm.
towards the positive, and I'll focus on that. And then I find that over time, doing this consistently over the years, like I couldn't tell you what's on the news.
Mhm.
You know, I couldn't tell you what's going on. I couldn't tell you. People will ask me, hey, what do you think about this and that? And I'm not being a jerk to them or anything like that, but a lot of times I don't know what they're talking about,
Yeah.
you know, because I just have disconnected from a lot of that stuff. Because for as far as the news goes, I think back to, I saw a documentary with Jesse the Body Ventura
Mhm.
and Willie Nelson. I can't remember the name of the documentary, but it was about weed and legalizing stuff and all that.
Mhm.
And I just remember, so I watched it because it's interesting. But there was a piece in there where Jesse Ventura, they said to him, what set you up to be so successful in politics? And he's like, professional wrestling.
Hmm.
He's like, because Congress has the power to pass the budget. Congress has the president can veto it, and Congress can go over him. You know, they can pass it. They can do this. They can do that. These laws, they can change these laws. It's all show.
Mhm.
It's like, listen, professional wrestling, the heel and the face will get into it at the press conference, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they get into it and they growl at each other and carry on and threaten, and I'm going to kill his family and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And the fans get all fired up, and, you know, and then the fans want to pay for the pay-per-view, and they want to buy the t-shirts, and they want to come to the event, and they're going to spend a lot of money. He goes, and then the face and the heel walk backstage, and then they go get dinner together.
Mhm.
They're buddies because they're making money. Politics is exactly the same. He goes, who is President Obama's number one most frequent golf partner? Boehner. And I was like, huh,
Yeah.
why am I hating my neighbor
Mhm.
because he's got a sign out there for a politician I don't agree with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
there's-
then I don't pay attention to their BS. And I don't pay attention to the fact that they're all leaving there rich. Like Jesse Ventura said, listen, if a guy leaves the federal level office less than a millionaire, they're an idiot.
Mm.
Nobody's leaving here poor. We're
Yeah.
all leaving here rich.
Yeah.
Why? And then I thought, I'm done with it.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm not doing it anymore.
because they're all narcissists.
Yeah.
And when you're in the government, you have access to everything, which means you have access to the best profilers and psychologists that work for the CIA and FBI. And then you utilize these people to figure out, okay, how do I get people to pay attention? Well, the secondary
Right.
emotion of anger. How do we get people angry?
Well, think
Oh,
of
yeah,
right,
you
because
know.
anger is what? Adrenaline.
or,
Yeah.
or
And our
fear.
body
And
loves
we are
addicted
to it.
adrenaline, right?
Addicted
Our
to
body
it.
loves adrenaline.
Especially over like the past 4 or 5 years with as polarizing as Trump was,
Yeah.
that made people fucking hate each other and for liking a politician or not.
Yeah.
And that drives me insane. I
Yeah,
hate
you're
that
going to cut
because
off family members over there?
no, and
Like, come on,
it's
man.
and
You're right. But that's what I mean. So a lot of times when people will say things to me and they'll bring things up or whatever, I'm just so disconnected
Yeah.
from it. And it's not that I don't understand that it matters. Like I get, yeah, our vote is probably the most important thing we can cast and do in our society, in a constitutional republic. The vote is extremely important,
Mhm.
you know. But at the same time, my attitude is more of, I'm not going to let them manipulate me, because these same politicians will sit up there and growl and carry on about lobbyists. Well, then get rid of them.
Mm.
You got the power.
Yeah.
You can say no more lobbyists, but you don't, because there goes all the perks that come with having lobbyists daily coming through your office, right? So I'm not going to let them manipulate me anymore. Like you just said, people are cutting off family members over a politician. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like that politician doesn't even know who you are, dude.
No, and
So
they don't care.
yeah,
about who
right.
you are.
So I'm not cutting anybody out of my life over their political beliefs and things like that. I would rather just have the old school rules of, we're not going to talk about religion and politics at the dinner table.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree.
Right?
I agree,
And-
because people have, especially over the past 4 or 5 years, it's all anybody's talking about anymore is politics and all. And I've said this on here before. If someone's whole personality is a politician, that they like,
Yeah.
that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, you got
It's
to you got to work on yourself, dude.
there
There's more
are
out there. You know,
way
There's a
more
lot
out
more-
there than a politician. And
There's a lot of life to live.
And I get like flying the flag of someone you like and all that stuff. But if that's your whole entire personality, I think you need to take a look at yourself a little bit.
Right.
And
Don't get caught. But then again, it's like Jesse the Body said, right? Like I'm walking around, instead of Brutus the Beefcake on my t-shirt, I've got a politician on my t-shirt.
yeah,
I'm playing exactly into what they want me to do.
yeah, it's
And back to, you know, what we started this conversation with about allocating resources.
Mhm.
Mentally, do I have enough resources to have an argument that isn't going to do anything? I've never seen anybody change their mind on the internet or anywhere else over a political argument.
Yeah.
I've actually seen quite the opposite.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to lose. And
Yeah.
everybody gets off on that adrenaline rush of getting angry. And so what do? They go look stuff up
Mhm.
and they come back with more info to buttress their opinion
Yeah.
and their position. And like, I'm even got a stronger position now, you know,
Mhm.
and I'm not looking to change. You're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not changing. You need to change.
Yeah,
And
and
it's like, man, this isn't a conversation any longer. Now it's just a fight.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's not getting anywhere.
Well, and most people aren't, including the three of us sitting here, are not geopolitical experts, and everybody thinks they are.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, I won't get in a political argument with anybody because I don't know enough, first of all, to have a valid argument, and I don't know if what they're saying is true. It's like, why would you? Because I know people that talk like they know about everything that's going
Sure.
on. It's like none of us do.
Right.
No.
None of us are, and there are people who are experts in that, but most day-to-day people are not.
We can make educated comments up to a certain point until there's shit we don't know about.
Mhm.
You know, you can say, I like guns. Someone says, I don't like guns. No one should have guns. And then I can say, well, no matter who has guns, bad people always have guns because they'll always find a way to legally have guns.
Right.
And say, well, fuck, that just doesn't, like, no, it doesn't make sense. If you lived in a shitty place, you would see that. If you grew up around that, if you didn't grow up around that, you assume bad guys don't have guns no matter what they do.
Right.
And would you rather live in, you know, the Demolition Man, you know, Sylvester Stallone,
Yeah.
where now all of your
Exactly.
cops are weak motherfuckers that can't handle themselves in a fight because we've taken all that power away?
Mhm.
You have to, as long as there's bad people, you have to have guys. They're equally as big of monsters, but have a good foundation of moral ethics that are good, solid people.
Well, like
Right.
you always say,
like
make
you.
good people dangerous.
Yeah.
Good
Make
people dangerous. Yeah,
dangerous,
exactly. That's
man.
what I was going to get to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to plug you back into
I,
that.
I do have a question. Doesn't pertain to anything we're talking about. I've just been curious. You own a gym back in Chicago or in Illinois, right?
I did.
So did you get rid of your gym?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been wondering because when you
Yeah,
moved here, I'm like, wonder if he still has his gym.
Yeah,
I know
no.
it has nothing to do with what we were just talking about, but I've been wanting to ask you about
no,
it.
it's cool.
But
Yeah,
no,
so I
yeah.
came out here and got involved with the guys out here. I don't know if I'll ever open. I'll probably end up opening something at
Mhm.
some point. You know, do my thing. But I'm happy helping these dudes here.
Are you planning to be here for good?
Yeah,
Good,
yeah. So I'll
good.
be here for a while. Jill's not going to go anywhere.
You're the last one we're accepting in Idaho.
Yeah, right. That's what I've been told.
That
Like,
comes up
like, you
on
can
this
stay here.
podcast all the time
Does
because
it?
people talk about how cool Idaho is. And we're always like, no, it sucks.
Yeah,
Just stay
it's
away.
terrible. Kind of like Montana, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's terrible here. Don't come here.
We just tell everybody go to Montana.
Yeah, go to
But no,
and take a wolf
and how long have you been here now?
since January.
Yeah, almost a year.
Yeah, almost a year. And Jill and I, we talked about it because in the VA system, she can go anywhere.
Mhm.
Plus, the travel nurse thing is real
Yeah.
tempting. You know, that's a whole source of contention in the medical community because you have travel nurses coming in making a lot more than the
Mhm.
people that are there all the time, and while being told the people that are there are being told, well, we don't have the money. You know,
Mhm.
we can't pay you more, but
Yeah,
hold on.
But they're
You know,
paying
yeah.
more.
Yeah, but you're paying more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing. So we kind of went back and forth on that. And she's driven hard by her ethics, you know, and that kind of stuff. So she doesn't want to be involved in that discussion.
Mhm.
And she really likes taking care of the vets, you know. A lot of her patients that she gets are, you know, the Vietnam era guys and a few World War II guys. Those guys are we're losing those guys, but
Mhm.
Korean era guys. And so she likes her job. She loves it. And she's grown up here. She's third generation Idaho. And
Mhm.
so I could tell, like we'll go different places and visit and hang out and stuff. And she likes it while we're there, but it's not here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she likes being able to within 10 minutes be in the mountains,
Mhm.
you know, or at least in the foothills,
Yeah.
you know. And so going somewhere else is just,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's why
She
you
would
see,
go.
there's a lot of people that grew up here, including me and Kevin, who are still here because it's a great place to live.
that's the thing. She would be willing to go anywhere I want to go.
Mhm.
And because of the VA system, she could go anywhere and work.
Mhm.
But a couple of things, this hospital is awesome. This VA hospital is awesome. It's one of the best.
Mhm.
And taking her out of here would probably kill her,
Mhm.
you know? So,
Yeah.
you know, not being able to have just this area,
Mhm.
you know, and all the things that she can do here, they're just,
Yeah.
And I'm pretty adaptable. I mean, I
Mhm.
lived in Maryland for, you know, first part of my life, lived in Miami, South Florida for the other, you know, the next period of my life. And then I lived in Chicagoland
Mhm.
for 22 years.
Mm.
So, yeah.
So next chapter's
Yeah.
here. Huh?
Yeah. Next chapter's
You
here.
had to live in all the shitholes first.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I kind of kept, you know, I told Joe, I said, it's because I'm a hobbit, you know, and it's just, you know, it's like, you know, Tolkien, the hobbits always were migrating west, you
Mhm,
know, and it's just, I'm a hobbit, I have big hands, big head, big feet, you know, and, you know, just not very tall. So I'm a hobbit.
Yeah, I'm a hobbit.
So for
Yeah.
your charity you're doing next month, how can people donate to that?
So they can go to Wage Hope My Way, which is the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network
Okay.
page for that. And then I can give you guys a link for it
Yeah,
too.
I'll put it in the
Um,
episode description too.
Yeah, where people can just click on that. And I don't handle any of the money. That's what I really like
Can
about
they
it too.
donate already? Like, can people
Yeah,
start doing?
yeah,
Okay,
it's
good,
up.
good.
So I try to not touch the money.
Mhm.
I think that's just for all involved. I think it's just better.
Yeah.
You know, keeps everything above board.
Mhm.
And so you just donate straight there. They just clickable link and donate
Cool.
straight to the Pancreatic Cancer
Awesome.
Network. So, and they're good people, man. I mean, they came out when my dad was dying. I had somebody I could call almost every day,
Mhm.
you know, for hospice questions, or even before it got to hospice, you
Mhm.
know, pancreatic cancer usually kills people pretty quick
Mhm.
because it's so hard to detect. So by the time they get it, or figure it out, rather not get it, but by the time they catch it, it's too far along. You know,
Yeah.
it's usually stage 4 at that point. So, but they were awesome. Like as far as resources go, I'm not familiar with other, like, you know, the American Lung Cancer Society or Association. I'm sure they have the same stuff in place,
Mhm.
you know, but these guys were awesome. You know, they're just like, here, you need to call this person, you know, what's a good time for, like, I didn't even have to call people. They were like, hey, what's a good time for this person to call you?
Mhm.
You know, I'd be like, 2:00. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Wow.
And I'd get a call from some lady like, hey, we're going to be at the house to set up the hospital bed. What time can you be there? Like, I don't even, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
like, holy cow, this is
Well,
awesome.
and when you're in that situation, having help is
Man, there's so much
amazing.
going on. I mean, my brother's awesome. So my brother was involved. So we split power of attorney and medical power of attorney because he was a corpsman in the military for 9 years. And so he kind of could speak their language, whereas I would just kind of glaze over and zone out, you know, and when they were talking to me, trying to explain stuff to me and stuff. So one of the things that they suggested early on was split that, you know, you handle power of attorney so you can handle all this stuff outside the hospital, and have your brother medical power of attorney. One, he speaks the language. Two, then he can just focus on that.
Mhm.
And man, that was such a good call.
Wow,
But
okay.
they've done it before, right? So they
Yeah.
were just like, hey, this is what you need to do.
Mhm.
You know, take that load off. You're trying to handle everything. And because there's a like one example, right, is do not resuscitate, you know, I think they call it DNR or something like that.
Yeah.
But so there's paperwork involved with that. You can't just say,
Mhm.
I don't want you to wake me up, right? It can't just be a verbal declaration. There's a pink piece of paper and it has to go with their chart everywhere they go.
Mhm.
So you have to keep that with them. And it's just a whole process, none of which I was aware of.
Mhm.
So we got transitioned. So my dad had a fall, taken to the hospital. The hospital's like, we're going to keep him until his numbers can go back up. Or he ended up just going home on hospice at that point because the fall was kind of the final thing.
Mhm.
But get to the hospital and they're like, hey, I'm like, does he have a DNR? I go, yes, he does. He goes, okay, where's the paperwork? I was like, you know what I mean? Like,
Paperwork.
it's like, so that just one of those things you don't think about.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
having them, but my brother was on it. My brother's like, I got it. It's in
Good.
the car. I'll go get it. And so it's in with all the other stuff in the car. And so that's like an example of something that they've already been through
Mhm.
hundreds of times and they could see it coming before we ever got to it. And so having my brother handling that stuff,
Mhm.
man, so made life so much easier because I'd probably still be standing there looking at the
Mhm.
oncologist going, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
And plus you have the stress of you're losing your dad and everything's going
Yeah.
like that's
being able
it's-
to divvy it up.
yeah,
And
rough
all
time. It's
that.
good to have some help. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
So
I know when my dad first started having health issues because he was within the VA as well. They sent him to Seattle, and we were so happy they had things in place to help. Right,
Yeah.
like my mom went with him, but they had somewhere for her to stay. It's
Yeah.
called the Fisher House.
Yeah.
And things like that just they ease a little bit of a burden, And
Yeah.
so it's the Pancreatic Cancer
Action Network.
Network.
PanCan.
Yeah, so
PANCAN.
them
Yeah.
they're doing good stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're awesome.
let's
Yeah.
raise some money.
No, it gets people, man. I mean, like you said, that's when I got my uncle. Just like, oh, it's too late. Like,
Yeah.
they never know. He looks just like, was it Lee Van Cleef from Good, Bad, and Youngly, or John Van Cleef? The guy who played the bad.
Oh yeah.
Like twins. He looks just like
Oh,
him.
wow.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always always give a shit about that. But yeah, it's one of those things that it sucks because you don't want to be. Do you want to be? You have too much anxiety about it. Like, do I have it? Do I have it? Am I dying right
Yeah.
now? Like, especially when you start getting over 50 and you're like not to
Yeah.
make you anxious either. Like,
No, I totally get it, man.
Old man Paul.
Yeah,
over
right.
here.
No,
Like,
I got pancreatitis, so I get it.
okay.
Yeah, I get
yeah.
the anxiety around it.
Yeah, it's rough, and it's like, but at least you are like the epitome of like you are being virtuous. So it's like, hey, if shit happens, at least I'm not going out not being in control of my own
Right.
life. Like, you're doing what you want to do and you're good at it. It'd be shitty if you're a person who just like, damn, man, I worked in an office for 40 years. I was about to retire at like 63, and now I'm going to die before that, and I didn't do anything.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
epitome of like, just take life by the fucking balls and do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, Dr. Siddiqui, we were talking. He's one of my dad's oncologists, and he's like, "Oh, you have pancreatitis?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Keep an eye on it." And I was like, "All right, sure." Like, like, what are you gonna do? So I reduced the risk factors already. I didn't drink, so I try not to drink. I don't, never get drunk. Like, somebody has something cool looking, I'll take a sip. If they're like, "Hey, taste this," I'm like, usually something fruity.
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right, it tastes pretty good."
What about all that cocaine you've been doing?
Cocaine nonstop?
Doing bumps.
Well, I got to do the cocaine to offset the heroin.
Yeah,
exactly. But,
that's how you party. Though.
Otherwise, I'm too mellow. But yeah, I look at it. But that's the thing, right? It's like, all right, it creates some anxiety, and you can either sit there and freak out, like, oh man, what is my timeline? Do I have an expiration date? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we do, but
just don't know
is mine
when.
bumped up?
Yeah.
And man, I don't want to go out like that. That's a miserable way to go out, but at the same time, you just got to get after it.
Seriously.
Yeah. Every day, get up and go do something.
I was gonna because we can wrap this up, but I was gonna say, if you wanted to end it with something, because you're a motivational guy, and that's one of my favorite. You're one of my favorite people just to follow on Instagram because of that.
Thank you.
And it's not just when it comes to fitness. It's others. Like my wife the other day was saying, like, with you and Jill, you guys are like teenage kids in love. Watching you guys online.
Yeah.
And that's motivational too, I think, to couples to
Right.
see. I know it's motivational to my wife and myself. And I was going to say, if you could end it with something motivational, but you kind of just did.
Yeah.
Because you're a motivational guy. And that's one of my favorite things about you as a person, but also following you online. Because I don't know, you keep me motivated. So
yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being you.
Yeah, thank you.
So the PanCan Network, and I'll link everything in the description. And Do you have anything else people can follow or look at for you?
No, just my Instagram and Facebook. If they want to
Alright.
follow me on there and connect with me and send me a message, let me know, like, hey, I was listening to Mission Prep and heard, this is how I found out about you or whatever. That's cool, man. I always love hearing that.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of people that'll connect with me there through classes or things like that. So it's always cool. It's like, man, how did we connect? Hey, how did we come in contact with each other? How do we cross paths?
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's just really cool. It's like, how does this happen?
Absolutely.
Well, you guys listening to this, I do recommend you follow Paul online because he's motivational.
Cool.
Yeah. He likes dick pics.
Yeah.
I love those.
Send-
Those are my
send them all
favorite.
to him. All right, Paul. Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
All right.